My school ended up calling CPS on my mom. Grab your chips, snack, drinks, because this is going to be a good story time. Now, this does take place back when I was in 7th grade, so it's been like years. My mom did not allow me to date. Even though I had a phone, I was talking to a boy, even though I was not allowed to date. So my mom tells me to always put my phone in her room around 9 or 10, right? And mind you, I think this was a Friday or a Saturday. I'm not 100% sure, but it was like towards the weekend already. Obviously, I delete all the messages that I had with the guy because I did not want my mom to see it, because occasionally my mom would check my phone. But this time I forgot to delete the messages. And obviously she went through it and she found out that I was talking to a boy. So obviously she told me, you're not going to be using your phone anymore for the rest of the weekend. You're only going to use it for school, and that is it. I'm being, how can I say, not a good kid. I was not a good kid, okay? I was telling her like, oh, well, I'm already grown. I should have a boyfriend already. I don't know why you're telling me no. Yes, I was very bad on my part. Skip to Monday, trying to convince her on the way to school so I could have my phone for like after school. So not just use it for school, but also use it after school. And obviously she said, no, I already told you no, you're only gonna use it for school, and that is it. For any emergency, I guess. I did not like that. So I got really mad, disrespectful with her, and I started raising my voice. I said, well, I'm gonna have a boyfriend. If I want a boyfriend, you can't tell me no. So my mom, I guess in the heat of the moment, she gave me a smack in the mouth. And it wasn't like a bad smack in the mouth. It was just like a little like that. And obviously like I was talking and then my lip hit like my teeth, and then obviously I started bleeding. Mind you, we had uniforms, okay? I was in 7th grade, and guess the color of the damn uniforms were? White. It was either white or baby blue. You could wear either or, and I was wearing white that day. And I remember obviously like I am bleeding out of my mouth. My mom is literally turning right to drop me off to school. I'm over here like crying, and then obviously like I get off of the car. Blood is on my sweater, okay? There's literally blood on my sweater. And at the entrance, there was 3 doors. Obviously, you could go through any 3, but they had 2 teachers on each door. And obviously, walking in, they see me and they see all the blood. And they're like, oh my God, are you okay? And obviously, I'm in 7th grade. I don't really know anything better. So I said, no, my mom hit me. Obviously, the teacher that I was talking to, she said, okay, well, that's not good. You need to go talk to your counselor. And she immediately took me to see the counselor. The school ended up calling the police, and they had 2 police officers come in. It was a woman and a man. They told me to explain what had happened. I just said, oh, we just got in an argument. They're telling me, hey, that's not okay. We're gonna have to take some pictures. So they took pictures of my lip, which it had like a cut like right here. They told me that they were gonna have someone, I guess the program, which is CPS, go to your house. I didn't know what CPS was, okay? So all I said was like, oh, okay, that's fine. And obviously, since they have my information, they have where I lived and everything. That same day, my mom ended up calling me, and she was already like all good. Like if nothing happened that morning, she was like, oh, hey, you want to go eat after you come home, because I took the bus. And she was like, do you want to go out to eat? Like, we'll buy you your favorite food or whatever. And I guess that's just the way that Mexican parents apologize. It's with food. So I was like, oh, yeah. And then I told them, like, oh, yeah, by the way, like, there were some officers. They saw me bleeding, and they called the CPS. She was just like, why would you do that? You were not supposed to say anything. And then I told her, well, what was I supposed to do? Like, they saw blood on my clothes. And then just asked me. And she was like, well, you could have just said something else. Why did I have to say that? And I guess she started to explain to me what CPS was. My dad was also on the phone, so they were already kind of like cussing me out without the cuss words. They were just like, why would you do that? Like, just wait till you get home. We're gonna talk about this and stuff like that. Yeah, I was scared shitless to go home. Eventually got home and my mom was telling me, like, I guess explaining to me more of what CPS was. And she was like, oh, well, your brothers, if they, you know, if they come and they see that something's wrong, that they're gonna take you and your brothers. Like, I'm not gonna be with y'all anymore. And obviously that's when I'm starting to feel like, oh my God, what did I do? CPS lady ended up coming a couple days later, and obviously, she was actually a really nice lady, super nice lady, but she just came a couple times to the house to see if like we were okay. She ended up pulling my brothers aside, like each of us. She pulled me and my two brothers like separately to talk to them separately and to see if there was something that I guess my parents were doing to us. So that lady ended up talking to my mom like, hey, like if you ever, you know, if they ever disrespectful, just give them a smack in the butt, and that is it. Like, don't do nothing to the face, nothing of that. Like, you shouldn't even be doing that in the first place. And obviously my mom's like, yes, like I understand, it was just the heat of the moment, and she has never laid a hand on me like that ever again. I was a very bad child, literally like very early teens. I was super bad, and I have another story of when I sneaked out, but that's for another time. But yeah, the school called CPS on my mom, but that's the story. What do you think?
You know, so my dad passed away in 2023, October 3rd to be exact. He had been sick like the previous years, but we didn't really know. He used to be like very high energy when I was like younger. It just slowly like started going downhill. Like his energy was just always super low. He didn't like really want anyone ever to come over and stuff. And we just like didn't really know what was going on, but we didn't think it was because he was sick. So the summer of 2023, we were on a vacation to Tennessee. He was constantly in pain, and it wasn't just on that trip, but that's just like what I remember like vividly. Like he couldn't do anything with us on that trip, like in our hotel, like working and just like relaxing because of how much pain he was in. Also, my bronzer broke on the trip, so I don't really know like what to do about that. So he eventually like went to the hospital or the doctors or whatever, like when we came back home, and they found out that he had, I think it was like stage 4 colon cancer. Me and my sister weren't informed at first. Like, I don't know. I think my parents didn't want like us to get scared or anything. So we didn't really know what was going on. Also, like at first we didn't know if it was cancer or not, because they like found stuff in like the scans or whatever, but they didn't know if it was cancer. Once they found out it was cancer, they found out that it was like really bad, and it was like already spreading to his liver and lungs. But me and my family are pretty like faithful and Christian, so we were all like praying, and we were like, no, like God won't take him away. So we all had faith that he would get better. And like for the first half of all of this going on, we lived at my old house and my new house in, I think it was August of 2023. So he only lived in our house for like a month or so. But after we moved into our new house is when like things got worse for him. Like he was like really sick. He was in and out of the hospital like doing tests, and he was about to start chemotherapy. And me and my mom and sister were out prom dress shopping, or it was homecoming shopping. And we got a call from a random number, and at first my mom didn't answer it because like we didn't know who it was. And then they called her again, and I was like, Mom, answer it. So we answered it, and it's the hospital. And they were like, we're not trying to scare you or anything, but just like, can you get to the hospital like as soon as possible? We were like, what's going on? So of course we like stopped what we were doing and just went directly to the hospital. When we went to the hospital, we like went upstairs and we saw my dad like taking from one room, putting it into another. And we had been told that he was in a surgery, and then he went into cardiac arrest. They brought him back to life though with like this like the whatever it's called, like the clear bzz, you know, like that thing, you know. But when we were allowed to see him, we went into the room, and he was like conscious, but he couldn't move. Like he was alive, but I think he was like unconscious or something. He was like had a ventilator in him, and his like eyes were like open, and he like wasn't moving or anything. It was genuinely like terrifying just to like see him in that like state. It was so scary. We were all like, my mom and my sister were like talking to him and like thinking he could hear, but I was like, he cannot hear. So I didn't want to be in that room, just to, like, I didn't like seeing him like that. So I wasn't like saying anything, and I like left the room and went to the lobby because I just like thought it was stupid. I was like, he can't hear us and all this stuff. and that's probably one of my biggest regrets, because we later found out like he could hear everything and he just like wasn't able to respond or do anything about it. But like I still had faith that he was gonna get better. I was like, this is gonna be like a really big testimony for him. Like he literally like died, came back to life, and like now he's healthy. So we all went home that night, and I'm not really sure like how many days had passed since then or anything, but remember I was at school and I was in like one of the last periods of the day, and I like felt this like gut-wrenching feeling. I don't know how to explain it. It was the weirdest thing ever. I just like felt weird. Like I just felt like, I don't even know. I didn't really think too much of it. And my mom had texted me. She was like, you're going home with your friend, like my friend Cherith. And so I was like, okay. Like she said she was in the hospital or something, so I was just like, okay, whatever. So I go home with her, and my mom picked me up later. We like went out to eat, and my mom like at the restaurant would not stop crying, and I was like, why is she crying so much? Mind you, my dad is like still in the hospital, and I didn't really know what was going on. Like I just thought she was like really having a hard time. And then after we're done eating, we're on the way home, and my mom was like, I need to tell you guys something when we get home, so just like sit downstairs. And I knew because she was like sobbing, and like I just knew. So she like sits us down at the couch, and she told us. And like when I found out like stuff like that, it takes me a while to process it, so I was just like shocked. Like I don't really remember all that happened. It was kind of like a big blur for me, just because like it was so like, what the heck. Went in my bathroom, and I think I like cried for like that whole night. But I hate showing emotion. Like I hate crying in front of people. I just feel so vulnerable, and I hate feeling vulnerable. I like being like strong and like fearless, you know what I mean? My sister, I think she was like crying with my mom and stuff, but I just can't. Like if I cry to someone, that's like really rare. I think I've only cried in like 3 different people's arms, because it's hard for me to like trust people and like show that side of me to them, especially with my mom. Like seeing my mom in that position, I just didn't want to like make it worse and like cry to her, so I just like wanted to give her space. And I know she's watching this. Mom, please don't cry when you're watching this. Anyways, so after that, like yeah, it was a rough few weeks. My sister didn't go to school. I went to school, and I remember like kids in her class would come up to me and be like, why are you at school? Like didn't your dad just die? And I would be like, okay. And it really put a burden in me and my mom's relationship for like really up until like these past few weeks. I don't really know what happened between us, but we would argue so much. Like it was bad. Like it was really bad. It took me a while to really understand why God like did that to us. I always blamed him, and I'd be like, God, like we asked you to heal him and all this stuff. And then I realized like sometimes like asking God to heal someone is them going to heaven. Like he is healed, but he's like in heaven now. And things like that can be super hard to understand, but you just have to realize like God will take you out of things that you don't think you'd be able to get out of. And in that video, I was not trying to be disrespectful in any way, shape, or form. I just thought it was funny, and sometimes I make jokes about things that are like not very funny, but that's like just my way of coping, and some people don't understand that, some people do. Death is a very hard thing. It's very hard to understand. It's very hard to process. It's a very scary thing. I'm terrified of death. It's very hard for some people. It's like...
This is a warning to all women to make sure that you are educating your children of the dangers of being out in public. I had my 9-year-old stepson and my 10-year-old niece with me. My boyfriend had us meet him at a restaurant after he got off work because he was working in the area, and we decided to all go eat out together. We eat and everything's fine, and then we get in the car and we are heading home. So he is ahead of me. This is a 2-lane road, so we are in the left lane. We get to a red light, and me and the kids are just jamming out, singing, having fun, and listening to music. All of a sudden, my niece, my 10-year-old niece, she looks at me and says, Jessie, this guy is staring at me and it's really freaking me out. I turned to look at the car next to us, and I couldn't really see anything. I could definitely tell he was fidgeting as I kept trying to look at him. And I immediately got this really, really bad feeling in the pit of my stomach. I turn to my niece and I tell her to stop looking at him and to face me. As I say this to her, I look down to see if I have my pew-pew next to me. And of course, this is one of those days where I just completely forgot it. I was in a rush. I always keep it in my drawer at home, and I just forgot to grab it. Once I realize I don't have it, I go ahead and just keep looking at him, trying to actually make eye contact with him and eyeball him, whatever I can to scare this guy off or just get a better sense of the situation at hand here. When I'm trying to look at him, all of a sudden, he pulls his car up. Keep in mind, we are still at the red light, so he just pulled up a little bit. He had some space in between him and the other car, and he pulled up. This is the first time that I actually got to see what he looked like besides maybe just little bits of his body. And when I looked at him, he was wearing a full-on ski mask, a full-on black ski mask. His entire body was covered. I couldn't tell his skin color. I couldn't tell his eye color. I couldn't tell anything. He was wearing a black ski mask in the middle of summer. Spring, summer, spring, whatever. This was recent, so it is hot. If you are from Georgia, you know how hot it is, and you know you would not be wearing a ski mask even if you're in your car, especially if you're in your car because it's even hotter in your car. Now that I saw he was wearing a ski mask, I was terrified. Like, I knew that I was in a bad situation, but the ski mask wasn't the only thing freaking me out. It was this guy's body movement. He was acting sketchy, and he was going back and forth from looking ahead to looking at us within 3-second intervals or less. He was straight up making it obvious that he was eyeballing me and my 10-year-old niece. It was almost like he was assessing who was driving to see his chances of success for whatever he was trying to do. At this point, I am absolutely terrified. The guy just keeps fidgeting back and forth, staring at my niece, staring at me, and making these strange movements. And when I tell you, I cannot see anything other than the black ski mask, and I didn't know anything that could help me tell the police anything, even if I called them. And to be honest, I didn't think about that in the moment. I should have thought about calling the police immediately. Regardless, a minute or two goes by and the light turns green. Whew, I couldn't talk while doing that, but when the light turned green, he speeds off. And this is the point where I noticed this guy doesn't have a tag, but he sped off, so I'm thinking everything's done, everything's over. But boy, was I wrong. I honestly thought for a second I was just overthinking everything, but then I saw brake lights. And I'm not just talking about brake lights as in like he slowed down a little bit. I'm talking he went from like 60 miles per hour to about 30 miles per hour, something along those lines, and he's getting closer and closer to me again. And the worst part, he was still looking in his rear view at me and my 10-year-old niece. He was literally doing this, back and forth, looking at the road and then looking at us. My boyfriend is still ahead of us and he has no idea what's going on. I should have called him while we were at the red light. I know it was dumb, or I should have called the cops. I don't know. I just didn't want to overreact. He's still ahead of us, and I end up calling him via Siri because I didn't want to raise any alarms. At this point, the guy is getting really close to me. I'm thinking that he wants to either follow me or get next to me again to keep looking at us. I'm really not sure what his intentions were in that moment, but I know it wasn't good. So I call him and I tell him everything that just happened and tell him I'm actually really scared and I don't know what to do. He is ahead of me, so thankfully he slows down significantly to his speed. And I slow down even more, and we're all moving as slow as a bug, and my boyfriend is right next to him. So I obviously wasn't there for the exchange between them, but I got the lowdown for my boyfriend after the fact of what actually happened. From my perspective, though, all I saw was that my boyfriend was neck and neck with him, kind of like blocking the road, going really slow, like 30 miles per hour, right next to him for a good 30 to 45 seconds. Then the guy speeds off. That's all I knew at that moment. Now, let me tell you what actually happened from my boyfriend's perspective. My boyfriend pulls up next to him and starts looking at him without him even noticing. And he can see that he is actively, obsessively looking through his rearview mirror at us both, and just trying to slow down to get to us is what it looked like. Of course, this is speculation, of course, but he was obsessively looking at us regardless. My boyfriend is staring at him at this point. He's staring at him, looking back and forth, kind of like he is, but to him. And the guy ends up locking eyes, seeing that my boyfriend is staring at him. He had no idea at this point that we were together, though. He's just thinking this guy's looking at him. So they look at each other for a couple of seconds, and apparently my boyfriend said something to him along the lines of, "Do you have any business with the car behind me?" The guy just stares at my boyfriend for a couple seconds, and they're locking eyes with each other, and then throws up a peace sign at him. Because the guy was not responding to my boyfriend's question and it was just acting like a fool, still obsessively looking at us, my boyfriend pulled out chambered it and put it on the console as he watched him do it. Like, this guy is watching my boyfriend pull it out, chamber it, and look back at him with the in his hand. Apparently the guy sees this, kept looking at Eric for a second, looked down at it, and looked back up and was like, nodded at him, and then just sped off. I'm talking, this guy went from 30 miles per hour going neck and neck with my boyfriend, trying to catch back up with us or slow back down to our level, to speeding 70, 80 miles per hour on a 55. He had no tag. We thought about calling the cops, but we had no proof of anything. I mean, we didn't take any photos. I mean, it was so quick. This was like a 3-minute interaction. After the guy drove away, we stayed pretty far behind because he hadn't turned off yet. Finally, a turn came and he turned off the road. He went on the first turn that he could. My only regret that day is I didn't call the cops. Like, this guy didn't have a tag. He's wearing a ski mask in the summer, spring, whatever. It's hot as balls in Georgia. Not only that, but he was up to no good. Like, the feeling that I had, what he was acting like, he was tweaking. He was acting so weird. He was definitely looking for somebody to do something to. This was not just like a random thing. He was looking for the right people. There's so much trafficking going on. There's so much abuse of women, children, things happening, pedophiles. I mean, literally, there's so many things that women have to look out for, and this is one of them. You are not even safe in your own car. You need to be careful in looking around you at all times. I am just so thankful that Eric was there that day, because if he wasn't, that could have turned out a lot different. I am constantly thinking about what he was trying to do when he slowed down to the extent that he did, trying to get next to me, behind me, whatever it was. I'm trying to think about if I had called Eric sooner, or if I had never called him, what would have happened? If he was not there, what would have happened? I can't tell you, but all I can say is that guy was up to no good, and we need to look out for each other.
Story time on how a guy faked his death just so that he could ghost me and I wouldn't text him anymore. I was like texting this guy, like we were really close, like, and you know, we would text oftenly, and we had been going on about that for like a year or so. And you know, like, I was really young at that time. I was 11 years old and he was like a little older, like how old he was like 16 or 15 and I was 11, so that's kind of crazy. But okay, we would be like we were not dating or planning on dating, nothing like that. We just like FaceTime and talk regularly, and you know, we became really close. At least for me, I was like, I really cared about him. Okay, like I had a point in my life where I was like, damn, like this boy is so sweet, this and that. Like, you know, I was really into the friendship, and you know, he would always like feel bad and be down and stuff like that. So like, you know, I would be there and I'd be like, oh, like, it's okay, you're like really great, you're this and that, you know. I will always try to make him feel like reassured or whatever. And you know, like, I feel like that made me really close to him or whatsoever, because I would also come to him like for like when I had problems, I would also go to him. Okay, and away from the fact that he was like 4 years older than me, like he was like such a hoe. Like, he would text so many girls and everything, but I was like, it's okay, because like, you know, we're not dating or nothing. Like, I just like see him as a friend. So, now mind you, me and him had already been talking for like, not talking as in we're talking today, but just like talking, texting and FaceTiming for like almost 2 years. And he lived like hella far from me. He was like really far from here. Like, I never saw him in real life. And okay, it comes to this time where like it was just like he would like text me and then respond like 2 days after, and I'll be like, it's okay, maybe he's going through stuff or something like that, right? And then like every time he would do that, like I'll be like, oh, like, I'll be so worried. I'm like, are you okay? Like you know, like, you were live for like 2 days, and then he'll be like, oh, it's because my phone, like, I lost my phone. And my dumbass believed it. I'll be like, oh, really? I'm so sorry. Or when he would be like, oh, my phone died. Bro, I'm dumb. And I would actually believe it. I was like really stupid. Okay, so I was like, whatever, you know. Okay, so this one time he calls me, it was like around December, I think, or November. He calls me and then he's like being so like sweet or whatever, and he was like just being weird. It felt like a goodbye, you know, like he was calling to say goodbye. That's what it felt like. But I was like, bro, like, I'm tripping. And he was like, we were talking, like, he was really telling me like stories of him when he was a little kid, like. So this is happening, and I remember that he had already called me, like, but that was like long ago. He had already called me. He was like, you know, like, if anything ever happens to me, like, don't worry, this and that, like, whatever, right? He would really just like say a lot of things about like him like dying and shit like that. So That night he called, we hang up. I wake up the next morning, I'm like, good morning. Bitch, tell me why this man, okay, the message sent, it went through, right? Okay, another day happens, and then another day, and another day, and I'm over here worrying. I'm like, I think it had been like already like 5 days. Like, I'm over here worrying and shit. I'm like, are you okay? Whatever, right? And then it hits my brain, and I'm like, wait, this bitch, something happened to him. And I had no way of knowing if something happened to him, only because of his friends. Then I went and I found his friends ad and everything. I was not gonna text him because, you know, that would have been weird. But okay, tell me why his friend posted, like, it was something like long live, and then it had like his initial. Bitch, when I'm telling you, I saw that story and I was like, wait, no way. And I'm texting him crazy and I'm calling him. I'm like, bitch, is you alive? Are you okay? And then when I saw the post that his friend made, I was like, bro, like, he actually died. And I thought, like, because that night he called me, he looked so sad or whatever. I was like, yeah, he died. He must have, like, himself, you know? I was like, damn, bro. And then I'm texting him. I'm texting this fucking dumbass. I'm texting him. I know you're at a better place right now, bitch. I was crying, bro. Oh, he's so evil. I was crying, bro. I was telling this man, like, you know, I hope, like, you're at a better place right now. Like, I know that you're watching over me over there, bitch. You're not, what? Like, I was just sending him crazy shit. And then it turns out that my message, like, didn't fully send, and my message turned green. So I'm like, damn, bro, he must have really gotten a car crash, and, like, you know, his phone cracked or something, you know? So that's when I break in my brain. I was like, oh, like, he lost, like, his phone just died with him. Like, you know? But, okay, and since things are like that, I was like, girl, when I'm telling you, I went in such a, like, depression. I wouldn't want to, like, I don't want to say fully depressed, but I was sad, bro. Like, I was, like, in my bed crying. Like, I was like, damn, bro. Like, and I wouldn't even be able to go to his funeral. Bitch, oh my God, I feel so dumb now that I look back at it. And then, like, you know, I was feeling so sad. I was like, ain't no way, bro. Like, okay. And then a few years passed, right? And then I'm already in my relationship with my ex-boyfriend, right? Why am I sitting next to my boyfriend? This is how I find out he did not lie. He didn't fucking die, bro. He didn't die. Okay, I'm sitting next to my boyfriend in the garden. I still remember this. And mind you, I had a whole, like, binder on his memory, like, on the day he supposedly died, like, just a memorial portrait in my binder just to remember. And I'm over here telling my boyfriend stuff about him and shit. Okay, I'm sitting next to my boyfriend in the garden. I had posted something, and then I swipe up to see who's seen it. Why did this bitch see my fucking story? I was like, ain't no fucking way. Okay, and then I'm like, wait, like, maybe someone on his story or whatever, right? And even my boyfriend sees it. Like, my boyfriend, he saw that shit. He was like, wasn't he dead? And he had a whole argument with, like, my ex-boyfriend had a whole argument with me too, because, like, he thought I was lying. But bitch, no, I thought he was fucking dead. How the fuck was I supposed to know? And then, like, okay, like, I'm like, I don't know, bro. Like, and then I'm shocked at that moment, and then I go onto his profile. This man had already posted a story. He was fucking alive. He was happily alive while I cried, and I had, like, believed this shit for, like, 2 years. Because I think, like, a year or two had already passed since this happened. And I was already in a relationship or whatever. And I'm over here, like, I would tell everybody that he had died, that this and that. And he had me looking dumb. Like, when I'm telling you, that shit was so crazy. I was like, ain't no way. So I come to the conclusion that this guy had faked that shit. He had, like, I don't know what the fuck happened, but basically he did all that just so that I wouldn't text him anymore. Like, bitch, you did not have to fucking, like, do all that. Like, you could have just told me that you didn't want me to fucking text you. Why did I have to fucking cry? Why did I have to believe that you were not fucking alive, bro? That was... And now looking back at it, I'm like, this man is evil. He is so evil. Because why would you make me believe that you were dead? I think I even posted a fucking story saying you'd rip him or some shit. Like, bro. He's evil. He's evil. Like, damn, was I that annoying or something that you could have just told me to, like, leave you alone, bro? Like, damn. But, yeah, girls, that's basically the story time of this evil man. Man, I'm so evil for no reason, but, yeah.